Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Ganot, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the very, very obvious way to grow your company. It's talking to your customers. At least it's obvious for me. It's obvious for a lot of people, but do you do it? Do we do it effectively? We're going to find out. I got a really special guest with me today, Danny Nathan. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for our chat.
Yeah, so the title of this episode, or the topic, is Talk to Your Customers. They have all the answers. Just give it to me straight. I mean, are we doing this the right way? Are we talking to our customers?
I mean, if you're talking to your customers, then you're doing it the right way. If you're not, then you're probably not doing it the right way.
Imagine that, right? Yeah, I'm curious, before we get super deep into that, I mean, give me a sense of what your company, Apollo 21, what is it that you do and how does this tie in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to tell people that we sit sort of at this weird intersection between an innovation consultancy and a product design studio focused primarily on digital products. And so the way that that comes to life for us is we work with our clients to help them ideate and build new digital products that ideally align to their customer needs or a customer pain point, and that will help them create a new revenue stream, expand into a new market, something of that sort. And the other side of what we do then is helping our clients understand what it means to be sort of committed to the idea of innovation and what the impacts are on anything from operations to company culture to the primary metrics that you might utilize to understand how your company is doing.
Yeah, so I mean, you wove the word client and customer in there so beautifully, but it does beg the question. I mean, when people focus on innovation and new products and development, they probably tend to think internally and what's going to make the most sense for us as a company. What can we make money off of?
Yes.
We're talking about that intersection of let's make sure it's actually something people are going to want and they're going to use as our clients. So where do we start with this? Because we'll just assume that everybody knows it's important, but we don't do it. So what are some of the first steps that you take when planning innovation or working with a company to actually go out to their customers and talk to them to see what they need?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head right there. It's start by talking to your customers. And depending on what the goal is or what the needs are, there's kind of a couple of different perspectives or starting points that you can begin that customer development process, sort of through the lens of. And so one might be, hey, we're a company that does X, Y, and Z. We have an idea for a new product that we think aligns to our customers' needs. Great. Go talk to them about that specific idea, understand where it aligns to their pain points, understand whether or not they believe that it's something that your company has license to publish, so to speak. And I will use that loosely, but does it make sense coming from your organization? Will they trust you to go and build that thing on their behalf? The other kind of starting point is just sort of further back on the track, if you will, which is we know that we need to be focused on what comes next. What does innovation look like for us? But we're not even quite sure where to start. And that's also a great reason to go and talk to your customers, because a lot of that ideation can be born out of what you hear from your customers. What are their pain points? What are they using your product for today? Does it align to what you intended for that product to be used for? Or have your customers already found an interesting growth angle that maybe you didn't even realize they were leveraging your product for? And then you can go and build more features or build a new product that leverages your existing technology or whatever it is, so that you can make your customers' lives easier and help them do the thing that they are already doing that makes them excited about your product.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds so obvious, but when you say talk to your customers, I think a lot of people would hear that and panic and be like, how? Right? As dumb as that sounds. So what are some of the different ways that you are talking to your customers? If you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of customers, what's the sample size? What are the methodologies that you use to know that you actually have a good sense of who you're talking to?
Sure. I mean, there's the obvious answers that are more quantitatively driven. If you have thousands of customers, which would be send a survey, get an NPS score, you know, things like that are the obvious go-tos for I need to query my customers. To be clear though, while there is value in that, it's not entirely what I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about talking to your customers, take it literally. Like pick, I don't know, however many customers make sense to you. And if you're a small consulting organization that's running with 5 customers right now, good, go talk to all 5 of them. If you're, I don't know, American Express and your customers number in the hundreds of thousands, figure out what the questions are that you're interested in asking and use the presumably large data set that you have at your disposal to go and figure out how to segment your customer base, and then literally reach out to them and try to talk to them, set up a call with them. And it doesn't have to be overbearing. It can literally be, hey, John Smith, I'm so and so, a product manager at, I don't know, I'm going to run with the American Express example here, at American Express, and we're trying to learn about how our customers think about X, Y, and Z. Would you be willing to take 15 minutes to chat with me? Or, hey, we've heard from our customers that they have this problem. Does that resonate for you? And if so, would you be willing to give me 15 minutes of your time so that I can learn more about what that problem looks like for you and how we might be able to help you solve it? And you're not going to get 100% response rate, but the simple truth is if you go to your customers and help them understand that you're not reaching out to them to try and sell them something or, upgrade them to the more expensive plan or whatever it is, that you really are trying to get their feedback and their input on a problem that either you think they have or you're trying to discover a problem they have, chances are you're going to get folks that are willing to talk to you, because it's not often that as customers we have people that take an interest in what our problems are. It's the reason that we're having this conversation. As readily simple as it sounds to go and talk to your customers, it doesn't happen often. And so when customers get that outreach, they go, wait, you actually want to hear from me? And you're actually, okay, yeah, let's talk. And so it's really just not that hard to find, even if it's just a sample size of, 10 who want to talk to you, you will learn a ton by having those conversations. And more importantly, as you figure out what those conversations look like and how they unfold, you'll figure out better ways to cultivate future conversations, and you will build a relationship with those customers that will make them excited about whatever that thing is that you're getting their input on. And so one of the reasons that we champion that customer development process so heavily, and we argue strongly for doing so up front, is that we learn a ton and it helps de-risk future efforts. So if the idea is that we're trying to come up with something new to go and build that will help our customers and create more revenue for our company, for example, then we want that moment and that relationship building opportunity so that we can hear from them and so that we can learn what we don't need to build, so that what we can build is focused and small and can be done quickly, as opposed to going out and spending a year building a new product only to turn around and find that, of the 10 features we launched, 2 of them are what customers are actually excited about.
Yeah, which probably happens more often than not, if I had to guess.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, people overbuild. I'm curious, do you have an example of a client, you don't have to name names, where maybe they tried to do this before surveying their customers, and they overbuilt, and then when they started working with you and did this more properly, we'll say, they got a lot more specific?
I'm hesitant to get too detailed around specific examples here, but that being said, yes,
understand.
we run into it all the time. And, I think that there is a moment of convincing where we have to help our clients understand why we believe there is so much value in this process. And usually by the time we sort of get them through it the first time, there's that eye-opening moment of, oh my God, they're actually willing to talk to us. And further, it benefits not only our customers, but it benefits us hugely to actually go and talk to them. Because, as I just said, more often than not, what you'll find is that the idea that you have in your head of what a customer needs to create a cohesive product offering is probably bigger than what they actually want from you. Because, inevitably the folks who are building the product, the companies that are creating the thing, have a bunch of smart people who get excited about bringing things to life that they think will help their customers. And there's nothing malicious in it. It's people trying to do good things to build awesome products for their customers. But without the benefit of those conversations, you go, oh, wow. And we could do this and we could do this. And now there's AI and it could do this. And you just end up with like a buffet line instead of a gourmet meal. And we try to get to the gourmet meal so that we can then, I don't know, serve you breakfast or whatever, however you want to carry that analogy forward. It's a terrible analogy, but it just popped into my head.
Gourmet you know what? I don't know if I've ever had a gourmet breakfast. This is Harmonious at lunch, so maybe we'll say gourmet lunch, right?
Fair enough. All right, we'll start with lunch. I like that.
I love it. So, okay, we've talked to our customers. We know what they want, what they don't want. Let's assume we're on the right track, right? We're talking about innovation here, developing something. What's step 2? And how do we continue to keep our customers in the conversation so we, with our really smart people who get excited, don't get off track?
Yeah. So the way that I think about the customer development process is that it starts off kind of wide. And so you go with this idea of, we don't know what we need or we have an inkling of what we need. Let's just go and talk to people and see if that need aligns to what we hear back from them. And so then we go through the process and we begin to identify opportunities. Oh, here's the 2, 3, 4 things that we're hearing from our customers over and over again. Those are the things that we can cherry pick and then start thinking about solutions for. And even at that point, once you have an idea for a solution, the knee-jerk reaction in most companies that make things is awesome. Let's go build an MVP and get it out in the world. And that has been sort of indoctrinated into us through, a decade of lean startup methodology and so on and so forth. But I would argue that it's still not time for that. So instead of going and building your MVP, take the 3, 4 ideas that, you've heard over and over from talking to your customers and storyboard that solution. And when I say storyboard, I mean literally like 3 to 4 frames of a crappily drawn comic book looking whatever, and then go talk to your customers again. Hey, Bob, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You mentioned that you have problem 1, 2, and 3. We really grabbed on to problem number 2. Does this thing that we have in our heads solve that problem for you? Would you be interested in using it? Would you like it? Tell me the features that you think it would have to make it useful for you. And oh, by the way, would you be willing to pay for it? Because that's a really important part of, building something that's going to be part of your business. And so then you have the benefit of you've had the customer tell you what their problem points are. You've heard it enough times over and over again that you know that it's not just a one-off need from one particular customer. Then you can go back to them and get their feedback, and they will literally tell you the features that they want. Like, they will do your product development work for you if you ask the right questions, and that's amazing. And then you can go and make that thing with the 1, 2, 3 features that, Bob or Jane or whoever said that they were most interested in. And at that point, you've talked to them a couple of times. Ideally, you sent them a few emails like during the build process. If you really want to be transparent, send them a couple of screenshots of the design and go, hey, you said that this feature would be super helpful for you. Here's how it's coming to life. What do you think? And what happens is they get bought in. They feel like they have become a part of the product development process, which nobody gets to be from the outside when you're looking at a large company. And so that in and of itself ingratiates your customers to you. And by the time you get that thing built, there's a really good chance that, you've got 10, 15, 20, 100 customers who you've talked to who are literally chomping at the bit and ideally emailing you every couple of weeks going, hey, where's that thing that we talked about? Because I really need it. It's going to make my life better. And so now when you get to the point where that thing is ready, you don't have to worry about going out and launching it. All you have to do is give it to the people who asked for it. And you've got a built-in army of beta testers who are excited about the thing that you're working on, people who will champion that new product for you and help you spread the word about it, et cetera, et cetera. And you've set yourself up for success in a way that going through the traditional process of, I have an idea, I built an MVP, I overbuilt an MVP, now I'm going to go put it in front of people and talk to them. This just shortcuts all of that. And so by the time you actually go and build anything, the chances that you're building the right thing are so much higher that it eliminates a ton of the risk. And you'll hear me say that over and over again. All of this comes down to, how do we eliminate risk? How do we get something to market more quickly? And how do we do so in a manner that gives us the utmost confidence that the thing that we're creating will have value?
It sounds like cheating. Is this cheating?
Sure. Cheating has a negative connotation to it. And
I
so,
know. It's
is there anything wrong with doing this? I mean, God, no. Like, should you be talking to your customers anyway? Yes. Is it cheating? Is it shortcutting things? Is it making it easier? I started to say faster, which is my hesitation. And the reality is, and this is probably an important point to call out, going through the customer development process and actually talking to people before you get into developing the thing may not shorten the overall timeline of the project at all. It may still take 6 months. But what I'm advocating for is instead of the first, 3 months being build and then the next 3 months being build, take the first 2 or 3 months and make it learn, so that by the time you get to build, the thing that you need to build takes 3 months instead of 6, and you can do it with 3 engineers instead of 12, or whatever that team might look like for your org, and you're saving at every step of the process. It doesn't take that many people or that much time from a team to execute on the talking to customers part of it, and the learning that you get out of it will offset the future effort of creating that thing immensely. We often sort of throw around that an hour of customer development work is worth anywhere from 5 to 10 hours on the far side when you go to build. And by that, I mean, you will save 5 to 10 hours of build effort for every hour that you spend talking to people.
Yeah, it's insanely profitable. The other thing too is, you're assuming with the 6 month comparison that you're going to get it right with the first one. So if you
Yes.
build an MVP for 3 months and nobody likes it, well, you're back at square one. And
Right.
what we're talking about, you're already 3 months in. So that's where the speed would come to play as well. I'm curious though on the I want to wrap up with this, the backside. You hinted at this with, you have beta testers bought in. It could be testimonials, raving fans, whatever you want to call them. They could be your built-in sales force. I mean, what is the power of having this? Can you give some examples from, again, maybe your clients? This is a much more positive example, so maybe this will be easier, but
Sure.
of clients who had that built-in sales force and those raving fans that were excited to then promote the product or service rather than just launching and hope you get it well received.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. And this actually is one that I can talk about, and it's one that we executed for a client. So we had a client that is in the Western sports space. So think rodeos and cowboys and all that fun stuff, which is not usually an area where, your head immediately goes to, oh, awesome technology. But basically, we did a ton of upfront customer research, and we were fortunate that our clients gave us access to both their customers and the athletes that they were sponsoring and working with, et cetera. And so we were able to talk to not only rodeo fans, but also rodeo athletes about what was missing from the technology driven side of their experience with the world of rodeo. And so we heard from fans over and over again, for example, that it's hard to find places to watch rodeo because it's not highly televised, especially when you get down to like the local and regional events. They were also complaining that it's really hard to sort of find your favorite athletes and keep up with them and see how they're doing day over day and things like that. And then by talking to the athletes, we also learned some really interesting things. Like, for example, athletes are often in the middle of a rodeo competition and will have no idea what their standings are, because standings at rodeos are often literally a person in the stands with a spreadsheet, like marking things down. And so there is nowhere to go and check, what is my score right now? Did I get beat by the person who rode 2 bulls later? Whatever. And so I'm describing all of this because ultimately what this effort led to was working with our client to build out a mobile app that effectively was ESPN for the world of rodeo, designed to serve both fans and customers. And had we not had the opportunity to talk to both fans and customers before we ever went and built that application, we would have built a ton of stuff that we didn't need in there. It would have become, the kitchen sink of rodeo as opposed to the ESPN of rodeo. Whereas because we had the opportunity to talk to them, we knew that athletes highly valued real-time feedback on what their standings were, and that fans really valued push notifications that told them when they could watch their favorite rider in a live stream in the app, for example, or whatever. Those are just a couple of examples of what this thing offered. But the benefit of it was that we knew exactly what to go out and build, and it made it that much easier for us to plan on what needed to get built, to create the roadmap around, okay, we're going to start, I'm making this up, we didn't actually do it this way, but you can see a world where we go, oh, okay, we're going to go and build out the fan side of the application first, and then we're going to layer in the athlete side, and then we're going to connect the two and allow them to communicate with one another, whatever. And so it makes the planning process so much easier, and it de-risks the effort all the way through, because you know exactly what you need to get built. You know exactly what the priority is for each of the users of that thing that you are creating. And it's like, I mean, to your point, it feels like a cheat code. Like, you go, oh, wow, there's no more guessing. We just know that, people want to watch live streams of their local rodeos. Cool. Yeah. Like, let's go make that happen.
Right. Cheat code in a good way too. And I assume even further down the line with continued development of the product, in this case, the app, you're already in communication with the people. If they say they want something else, you can just layer it on as they say they need it.
Yes. Well, and not only that, you've built a communicative audience who feels like they have the right to share with you the things that they want. So they're going to be less shy about coming to you and saying, hey, have you guys thought about this? And let's be clear, like, rodeos are cool, and I learned a ton about rodeos, but I'm not the rodeo fan who is going to a rodeo every weekend. And so having the opportunity to hear from one of those fans, it would be amazing if we could have blank, is hugely helpful for us. Because unless our client tells us, or unless we just sort of glean it from the data that we end up getting access to, that is where we need to learn. We being, my team, as far as who's going to go and then design and build the application on behalf of our client.
Yeah, it's so, I said this in the beginning, it's so in your face, but we often don't do it.
Yeah.
And we think we know what our clients want without just saying, what do you want? This is a great episode.
It's really interesting. And I'm going to throw one last thought in there.
No, do it.
Just to keep you going here for 1 second. A lot of the pushback that we hear from around the idea of talking to your customers is, well, what if they tell me that they want a faster horse? It's the clients don't know what they want. And in my opinion, it is our job as product people and as technologists to figure out, when somebody says to you, I want a faster horse, we then need to be the ones that interpret, oh, what you're telling me is that you're trying to get from A to B faster. And so there's no reason for your client or your customer to have this vision of, I want a faster horse. A horse might not have legs and eat hay. It might have wheels and run on gasoline, for example. But what you've said is, I want to get from A to B faster. And so what we present to you is, hi, welcome to the world of the automobile. You can now get from A to B faster.
So it's two parts. It's ask your customers, and also don't be stupid. Like, use your head.
Yes. I'm sorry if that wasn't explicitly clear in all of this conversation, but yes, there is the notion of, like, use your head and think about what you're hearing from them. Don't just go out and, execute willy-nilly on every single thing that they tell you. It's not a question of every single thing that you hear from your customer is going to be correct, and therefore you should build that. It's more of a question of, if you can learn from them what they want and then layer in, your own perspective around, what does my company do? What fits with our operations? How does this, impact our revenue, et cetera, then the combination of that thinking is where you really get ahead.
I love it. You got to be very specific. So that's why I just toss that in there. But
I appreciate it.
Danny, I appreciate this conversation. Where can the listeners go and learn more about you and your company?
Best place to find us is on our website. It's apollo21 right there on screen. And you will find case studies about a bunch of the different client work that I've either talked about or hinted at or whatever, including what we did and what the outcomes were and so on and so forth. You'll also find some great white papers and articles about our perspectives on customer development and what it takes to create and run companies and what it means to be innovative and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, please come check us out there. And then, of course, Apollo 21 is on all of the requisite social media, as am I. I am usually blah, blah, blah / among many. And so we are easy to track down.
I love it. I appreciate you being here. This is a very, very beneficial conversation that I hope a lot of people hear and take action on.
Awesome. Me too.
Wherever you're watching, listening, the website's down below in the show notes, in the description. Go check it out. See if you can learn from those case studies too. Maybe one of them is close to your industry, or you can get some golden nuggets from there. And reach out to Danny. I'm sure his team will be more than willing to help you in this process for your company as well. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you back on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for being here.